Hi, my name's Elja, and this is my story. So, when I was in primary school, I was like an average kid. I wanted to learn, I wanted to grow, I wanted to know things. Like every kid wants to know, they want to be able to progress and learn new things, and I really struggled with that. I got into year 2 and I got to a point where I was struggling so much. Picked up my work, screwed it up, and I threw it across the classroom. And from that point on, my life has been going from up here to straight down. Got into year 3. My first bullying physical incident that I had was when I went to sit down. Some person who were in my class thought it'd be funny to pull the chair away from me, and I went and hit my head on the table. And I ended up having to go to first aid because of it, because I hit my head so hard on the table. I didn't make it, it wasn't bleeding. I didn't crack my head open, which is a good thing. But because I hit it so hard, I needed first aid. From then on, I've been bullied ever since, and verbally and physically. I struggled a lot when I was in school. I ended up, when I was in year 6, I had to go to anger management at the school because I couldn't control my emotions properly, and I used to take it out all the time in my lessons, and it showed a lot of what was impacting me at the time. Going to secondary school, I thought it would be a brand new start, and it turned out to be just the same. In year 7, I was still getting verbally bullied, but then I also started getting physically bullied. I've been beaten up. I got beaten up in year 7, and it got to a point where I was acting like I wasn't getting hurt at the time when they were hitting me. But once I managed to get away from them, and a member of staff came to let us into this room, I burst into tears because I felt so much pain of when they were hitting me. Because they were hitting me around the head, they were kicking me, they were punching me. It were awful. I got to a point in year 8, and I was getting bullied from all the year groups, and to a point where one of the older girls basically chased me from the female toilets all the way into the school building up to my science class. She chased me all the way up there until a member of staff actually stopped her and he allowed me to continue to go to my class. And from that point on, I was crying, and this is when I finally found a place to lay low, as you said. So I joined what we called the science club, and we did all sorts of experiments, and I met some good friends, and it was really good. I was still getting verbally bullied a lot, and to a point where I really struggled, and I didn't know what to actually do at the time. I spoke to my mum, spoke to my grandparents, spoke to my sister, and every single strategy that was said, it was really difficult, because when they told me to do something, I did it, but it made it worse. Even when I went to speak to the teachers about it, nothing happened because they couldn't do anything at the time. Also, I was chased from school a lot, and to a point where I got chased from getting the bus down into town, and the students who were bullying me, some of them would get off and they'll chase me to the bus station. And it got to a point where when I were running one day away from them, I went and hid behind a car, and they knew, I don't know how they knew that I was there, but they boxed me into a corner and they spat at me, and I managed to get away from them and get to the bus station and get home. After I'd been at school, I finished my exams and didn't come out of school with brilliant exam results, but I went to college. I went to Keighley College, and there I found it very, very comforting, because I thought, right, brand new start, I could do what I want, I can get my education, what I wanted. The education that I am doing currently is in sport, is revolved around sport, and when I basically spent most of my time alone when I was in college. I didn't want to hang around with anyone. I just wanted to be by myself. You should just get on with my work and then I'll go. In my third year, I began to... It became really, really difficult for me at the time. I began to hear voices in my head, and I'm unable to identify where these voices are coming from. I still hear them now, and it got to a point where they were telling me to do things, making me feel useless and everything is my fault, and I began to cut. This is my favourite. I began to cut to a point where at the start I caught my arm on something, because some people already knew that I had dogs, and I couldn't really blame my dogs for the cuts. I found a tutor who I found I could go to and talk to. It took time, because it took a lot of me to trust these people to talk to. And once I spoke to this tutor, I started to open up, and opening up was really difficult, and it's not easy. I know it's not easy, but little steps of opening up to someone is better than holding it on so much into you. It's like an exploding water bottle. It's just, the bottle is full, it's got the lid on it already, but yet there's still water getting inside it, and we don't know how. So it got to a point where in my fourth year, it got really too much for me, and I made the worst decision ever. I regret it now to this day of doing it, and I tried to commit suicide, and when I told college that what I did, it got to the point where they needed to seek out help externally. So at the time, I had a care coordinator who I speak to on a regular basis still. But I had one back then who I first had, and it got to a point where I didn't trust him anymore, because he started to go behind my back and telling my parents things that were confidential. I still spoke to the tutors who I trusted, and to this day I still trust them, and maybe because I'm not at that college anymore, I can still talk to them. They haven't abandoned me, and I've learnt through my mistakes of what I've done with cutting and being someone who I wasn't. In my 5th year, my final year at college, I was still struggling with my mental health, and it felt like I was getting worse to a point where I was still cutting. I couldn't stop it, and I started taking what people were saying to me the wrong way, and I was taking it way too much the wrong way of what I felt. I was sort of bullied when I was in college at the time, and the staff there helping me were brilliant. I couldn't have got through college without them. It also was the 5th attempt of me taking my GCSEs, maths and English, and I finally passed, and I dedicated most of my time to doing my maths revision, because at the start of my 5th year I had a bad head injury to the point where I couldn't count. I couldn't even count to 10. I couldn't do any maths whatsoever, and my numbers, which were really weird, the number 1, 3 and 7, they were backwards, and I don't understand how I could get my numbers backwards. I don't know how that happened. But I got through it. I did everything I could to get my maths back to where it should be, and I got the highest maths grade in the foundation paper out of whole at Leeds City College, which, when I was told that, I was overwhelmed. I didn't even know how that could happen and how I managed to make that happen. But now I'm at university, and I've just completed my 2nd year of my foundation degree. I found the support there were very, very helpful, and I also had one-to-one tuition, which helped me learn and be able to do my work to the standard that I was able to do, and even beyond that. And in my 2nd year, which I have just completed now, I've found so much support through staff, and I think I've now began to understand a lot more about myself, and it's got to a point where I can talk to them about anything, and I won't be judged. I go to support groups with Nick Smith, who is the founder of Missing Peace, and that's run in Keighley. If I didn't meet Nick, then I don't know where I would be right now. He has basically been a rock to me, and I could go to him no matter what. Also, I am now beginning to become a facilitator for his groups that he runs, because I go to a Friday group with him, which is called Feel Good Friday, and it's where we can talk about our week, what we're thinking, anything that's on our minds. if it's good, if it's bad, if we're not even sure about it, we could just talk no matter what.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for everything that I've got right now. I've started doing talks. I did my first talk in my secondary school, and that was the most difficult thing I have ever had to do. And that was to go back into that school where I got bullied and talk about what happened to me. And yeah, I'm still here today, and what else can I say? I'm here. I'm still alive. I'm getting a degree. I've got a job. I'm coaching football. I've got all sorts going on for me. Even playing football on nearly a weekly basis with Silsden ladies. And if I didn't play football, if I didn't do half of these things that I do, I probably wouldn't be here because I wouldn't be able to cope. But this is my story, and I just want to say thank you for listening. If you want to talk to anyone, do it. My advice is take that first step and talk to someone. If you don't talk, or even write things down or draw it out, show it to someone. Show to someone that you need this support. Only you can make that first step. My first step was talking to my tutor about my feelings. That's how I got the support straight away. That's how I met Nick. Because my tutor knew someone of his family who knew Nick. And if I didn't meet Nick, I wouldn't have got the support today of what I mostly needed. And I wouldn't be helping out as much as I thought I would be. It's my advice. Take that first step. Nothing can stop you. No one can stop you. That first step is the key to get better. Thank you.